everybody. I am Sarah Snell Cook, your host of the Credit Union Connection. I'm here today with the man who's been all over credit unions, literally everywhere. Brett Wooden, software strategist at Buildable. Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for having me.
So tell us what a software strategist does and what Buildable does.
That's a great question. So Buildable develops custom software solutions. And so specifically, we've been focusing a lot on large language models, AI, consuming the data, providing output. And my role is really to help credit unions kind of in this new era where a lot of the software they're purchasing, out of the box solutions, and looking more deeply into kind of their membership and how can they serve their members, and then how can they utilize software solutions and custom solutions to serve those members. And so
Mhm.
it can range from serving the underserved and creating something to help them, or as simple as you taking all of your policies and procedures and creating a tool for your staff to search things quickly within a large language model.
That seems super helpful,
Yeah,
honestly.
yeah. And just
Um,
educating. I think that's the big thing is educating. I've always been that way, and I love to educate credit unions and kind of teach them that they don't need that champagne budget. They can actually utilize a beer budget to create some of these things.
yeah, I was going to say that, creating custom software sounds expensive and credit unions are always so
Y-
budget conscious. So,
Yes, yeah. It can be.
uh,
I mean, I think, yeah, it's like anything. It's like building a house, right? It could, if you do want all the bells and whistles in the house and add a couple extra rooms, it could be expensive. But
what do you feel like is the most important ingredient for credit union innovation right now?
right now, I think I see a lot of, in my conversations, I see a lot of folks that are still kind of focusing on the shiny ball. Like, oh, that solution, we need that. And I think the ingredient of success right now is focusing internally, focusing, get your data organized, get your structure organized, really focusing on kind of the internal members, which are your employees. And I think we're not seeing that enough right now. And I think that's the secret ingredient, because a lot of my ideas come from the pain points inside the credit union. Like, I love to run to those, and you see where inefficiencies, you see staff that are, I wish this was better. Focusing internally and doing kind of that human-centric design with your staff, I think is the
Hmm.
key ingredient right now.
Yeah,
Because
and
you're
they're
always going to have,
humans.
yeah, yeah, and you're always going to have the vendor that's sending you. And unfortunately, I am a vendor, or I like to call strategic partner. Um, but you're always going to have them with the new shiny ideas, and so I think it's important right now to get your shop in order and organized.
Hmm.
Then part of your strategy is then you can focus on what do our members really want to use and utilize.
Well, and if your member or if your employee is so dang frustrated with whatever process that takes 50 steps that should take 10, you know,
Yeah.
you're not going to provide good member service, period. I would imagine.
Yeah.
And you've been in
Yeah.
that spot before because you've been inside the credit union too. When
Oh
you've,
yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, I think the big one, the person that can solve this, and I there might be a solution, but I have yet to hear it. Of the average account opening is what, six screens, six different systems you have to use, because you got to use your
Wow.
account opening, you got to use your debit card, like all of them have separate systems. And I just remember a lot of kind of my follow up was like there was steps missed, or a lot
Mm.
of that member friction was, oops, I forgot to order the debit card, or I forgot to sign them up for online and mobile banking, or there's so much of focus there that I think that they're missing that future conversation of, how are you planning for emergencies? How are you planning for retirement? All, like, you can't have those conversations when you're worried about, did I do all these little steps and open the screen, and what was my password for these? And it's
Oh
just
gosh.
it's kind of a like, it is like, yeah, it is very fascinating. Like, and that's one of the things I remember at one of the credit unions I worked at. We had an amazing, she was 17 years Scimitar programmer.
Mm.
And the thing that I loved about her is she wouldn't just write the code. So if you were like, hey, we're going to do, like, one of the projects we did was, oh, it's like, what is it called? It's like instant issue of not checks, but when someone comes in and wants to do a loan at a dealership, you give them like a blank check
Right. The
essentially.
check. Yes, yes, yes.
Yeah. And so what she did, instead of just creating basically like we need this, she went and actually sat with the users, the member
That's
service
good.
reps, and watched how do you do it currently? What do you, and I think that stuff is needed. Because I think
Mm,
that a lot of times we're just trying to check the box and move forward. But at the end of the day, the user is kind of like that they have I will say MSRs, tellers, they have created some amazing processes to
mhm.
try and simplify what they do day to day that we don't even know they do. You know,
Right. Yeah, I'm
amazing.
sure.
Yeah. So, yeah.
Yeah, no, and they need help with that. I mean, I would think, we were talking AI earlier. AI is something that could absolutely help with that. For a while there, Cranes were talking about AI, like we need AI, but to know to what end, right? What was the
Right.
what was the
Yeah.
purpose? Well, now we've become a bit more educated about it and starting to actually implement it for solutions rather than just to have it, the shiny new
Yeah.
thing. You're saying.
Right. Yeah. And it's easy, I will say, like it is, I mean, just like being in kind of the C-level roles at credit unions, it's so easy to get sucked into it too. Because there's kind of this like you want to be the credit union that's on the cutting edge. You want to, I don't know, that's how I felt that way sometimes where you're like, you kind of get addicted to, well, we've got this product we offer our members.
Hmm.
And now it's kind of interesting being kind of outside of that and replaying the tape. You're like, gosh, I should have looked at the web analytics and see, do enough members visit our site for us to put up a chat bot or have like these,
Mm.
even like there's some simplistic ones that I've seen where like you spend like hundreds of thousands of dollars on this amazing fancy website, but you miss little things like putting the login on the homepage because for security reasons, you want to have it linked to another page. Well, everybody just bookmarks that page and then never goes to your site at all. They're just going directly to
Exactly.
online
Yes.
banking. You know, but you're so focused on this amazing site and experience that you just miss little,
And
and
nobody's looking at it.
yeah, yeah. It's kind of a fun little like thing to be like, because my wife and I were both now on the outside, kind of consulting and things, and it's fun to see like when we were in it, the little things that we might have missed and now kind of having that outside perspective of go, oh wow, like this is where if we were to go back, this is what we would tweak a little bit. So
Hmm. Yeah,
yeah,
and you brought up Corlinda, your wife.
yes,
I'm
yes,
going to bring her up too. Now, you two have worked together at times. How was that?
yes.
Because my husband and I work together also. How does that go for y'all?
It's I will say that the main we grew up in households where so like Corlinda's mom was an attorney and then her dad was the paralegal for her
Hmm.
mom. And then
Hmm.
my dad has owned businesses like movie theaters and taverns and my mom has always worked with my dad. So it's kind of like what we know.
Right.
And
Uh-huh. Cool.
that's where it's been like exciting as we kind of are like working back together again.
Hmm.
But I will say it has been interesting. We had one, I can't remember when we first were working together at our first like credit union, someone found out and they wrote an article called Credit Union Love. And it was like
That might
about
have been my previous publication. I remember doing stuff like that. Yeah.
yeah, and so what had happened though is the CEO like shut it down immediately. She was like, that is not, but it kind of was like, I don't know. We feed off of each other for ideas
Hmm.
um yeah, and I think like even our daughter like worked at a credit union over the summer as a in a call center and it's hilarious. Like she'll come home and she was like saying, I can't believe the member called in and they said I didn't call them about their debit card, and I called and left a message, and I emailed them, and they were getting mad at me, and I was like, welcome to retail, buddy. Like,
Yep, yep, yep.
no, but it's fun because like, well, and we actually met. I don't know if she told you, like she was a teller at Wells Fargo Bank,
No, I didn't know
and
that. No.
and I was doing my dad owned businesses, so I was in between classes at Portland State, was doing deposits, and she was the teller. And then that night we went out. Well, I went out dancing with friends back when dance clubs were fun. Like And I saw her there, and I asked her out at a date. And so we
Mm,
essentially met in a teller window. That's the,
nice.
yeah. So ever since then, we've worked together. Like we were both bankers at Wells and working at Wells Fargo. And then we went to a credit union in the Northwest and worked together. And so it's kind of always been like, it's
Just
our
what you
pattern,
know.
I guess. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, exactly. So what are you working on right now?
Yeah. So we've got a partnership with Room 39A, which is the community financial credit union, their QSO, which it's a launch pad. It's a collaborative for credit unions to get together and essentially create ideas, research, and then Buildable, we help them take that research and collaboration and create prototypes and solutions from all
Mm,
that research. And so we're working on right now a um, kind of a research on the aging adults and being
mm,
in that sandwich generation where you're looking out for your kids and then you're also looking out for your parents. And so we're trying to create a solution or something to help kind of navigate that caregiver of caring for parents as well as, caring for your kids kind of in that middle spot. So they've
hmm.
done some amazing research within Room 39A. And so now we're taking that research and going through a discovery process with their
Neat. Yeah.
team. So yeah,
I
that's
love,
one. And yeah,
yeah, I love to hear that crayons are being innovative that way. It's great because
yeah.
collaboration is the only way we're gonna
Oh,
defeat
without a doubt.
the
Yeah.
dark side.
Yeah. And there's some like power, it's amazing. I feel like every time I get on the phone there, they bring on these individuals that you're like, oh my gosh, like we were in I3 together, or,
Mm,
they just are like just really amazing people, like to collaborate with and create ideas. And you constantly, I feel like I'm constantly like after I get off the call is like, is this real? Is this like do really people have like this collaborate? And they do. That's what I love the space. It's like there
hmm.
is a there is kind of a heart behind what we're trying to do. So
Yeah, behind the
yeah,
tech.
yeah,
So you started out in marketing and business development, being a teller, but you were
y-
also in marketing and business development. I went
yes.
through your resume today or your
Oh,
LinkedIn
nice.
page. So how do you get from there to software?
I think I've always been like I'll give an example. So when I was going to Portland State, I was taking a um geology class, so study of rocks or what
Ooh.
and this will tell you what kind of student I was, unfortunately. But I literally went into my professor and I'm like, listen, I just can't take tests. And you have a 200 question, two scantrons that I've got to fill out, multiple choice. I go, I'm horrible at this. Is there anything I can do other than this test? And he's like, well, why don't you think about that and come back to me?
Hmm.
And so what I did was I was like, well, at the time, like we were just like my roommates, we were just starting getting into like web development, design. And so I pitched an idea to him. I was like, how about I design a department page for you that says all the places you can go to in Oregon to find the specific rocks and stuff that we studied. And so he's like, sure. So that's literally what I did. I built the web page for Portland State and submitted it, and I got an A in the class and didn't have to take the test. And then the friend group that I had um, kind of grew from Portland State, we had a side hustle. So we were always building things as I was working, as business development and marketing. I was always kind of like, I would go work in their office, after work, creating ideas and that. And so then that kind of blossomed into, I got a role at a credit union in Houston where I was marketing and overseeing IT. And it's
Okay.
funny because like I don't know. Like I'm the type of person that's like, oh yeah, I could do that. That shouldn't be that hard. And I'm telling you, it was extremely hard. Like not having that background in IT and having doing upgrades on your core server and all that. Like there was a lot of late nights, but I think I learned a lot from that too. But then I also learned bringing marketing and IT together. You could create some amazing things because you had
Hmm.
marketing that was like this is the demographic and the folks we want to go after. We don't know how. And then IT would go, well, we can create this program for you in this report. And there was just so much there was more collaboration in that. Well, so that kind of
Hmm.
fast forward of that's how I got into where I'm at now. Like I just have this intrigue of I love I love watching people collaborate, but I also love hearing their challenges at work and
Hmm.
trying to get people together and say, how can we solve this and make things easier for you? Because like a lot of your time is spent at work. Like you shouldn't, and then the members, the members too. It's like one of the things when I was working at the Providence Credit Union, I spent like 4 hours just sitting in the lobby of a hospital and watching nurses and doctors get off their shift. Because I was like, how can we help these? These are our members. Like, how can you help them? And it was
Hmm.
so fascinating. All of them did the same exact thing. They would go walk to the Starbucks. That Starbucks was in the hospital.
Right.
They would order something and then they would go sit down by themselves, no phone, and they would just like it was almost like they would just decompress, like exhausted. And so that was kind of our some of our stuff we developed for that was like, hey, don't put them through a phone tree. When they're calling you to get a solution, go right to a person. Those kind of things,
Hmm.
because the last thing they want to do is they're exhausted. They sit on a phone for 5, 10 minutes
Press
waiting for somebody.
one for.
Yes. So that's kind of what I, like that's really how I got into. I just was always fascinated with just how things are done and how can I help fix things and then finding talent. Like I love people that are smarter than I am. That is such a fun, it can be intimidating sometimes, but at the same time, it's like you don't grow unless you're uncomfortable. So
Right.
I
Yes.
love to get on calls where I'm like, oh gosh, they're talking about things. Don't ask me anything, please.
I know nothing.
Yeah, but it is like, and that's really, I feel like I'm definitely growing now because there are some really intelligent humans that I'm working with. So
Cool. That's always good. Yeah, always challenging yourself. And so, like, I'm just going to bring up that you mentioned building things.
yes.
Behind you, there
Oh
happens to
yeah.
be a couple of Lego sets.
Yes. Yeah.
And you wrote for us not long ago about Lego and how it connects with credit unions. Talk a little bit about that, how that helps you.
Yeah, so there's a community that I belong to within the Lego community that you submit ideas, they have challenges. I've yet to have anything get selected, but it still is like all these creations. So that's my city. I've got kind of to my right, I have all of my old Legos 80s sets. And
Mhm.
there's something like if you're in a block, it's just stopping and like building. And I like to build my old stuff because I have a lot of old kits and things. And it kind of brings me back to like when I was younger, because you are more innovative when you're younger. Um, I think George Huffheimer once made a comment that you go into a kindergarten class and say, how many of you are artists? They all raise their hand, right? But then as you
Mhm.
get older, that number starts to drop because people
Right.
don't refer to themselves. And that's why I love building Legos so much is it gets my mind back into that problem solving creative like it's not it's just, I don't know it's like I guess like puzzle building too
Hmm.
but I love seeing the community on Instagram of the people that build their own stuff. I mean,
Yeah.
it is insane. They literally are taking something they thought, building out a graphic design booklet of how to build it, and then building it. And I mean,
Wow.
I mean, to think like that intelligence level, like I it just I mean, but it's very similar to software development where someone comes to you and goes, I have this idea, and you're like, okay, how can we, you start through this process to get their idea,
Hmm. I'm more of a wing
created.
it, like, oh, I have an idea.
Yeah.
Oh, just do something,
Yeah.
make it happen.
Well,
I don't know.
I've been incorporating, it's really fun. You know what's funny is we did a event, a little thing in Madison where we got together with a couple of our friends in Madison and just started ideating on some things. But we did a Lego where I brought in just a bunch of random Lego pieces and said, hey, we're just going to get our mind in creative space. You're going to have 20 minutes to just build something. And the one person afterwards came over and grabbed me and she said, I observed two things that I thought was so interesting is everybody was smiling while they were doing it. And then I couldn't remember the last time I had built Legos without an instruction manual.
Right.
Like
Hmm.
it was such a like it was really a cool and so that's kind of why I do it is it's like it gets your mind in this different
Hmm.
frame of and that's where I like we kind of mentioned like to kind of correlate that back to credit unions. I think more of that needs to happen. I think it's like, when was the last time that, if you're a C-suite, that you actually had a conversation with a member or
Mm,
someone at the front line that's, you know, trying to make it through a payday,
hmm.
through the members coming in and all that stuff. I think that stuff helps so much in just putting things in perspective.
And that's the storytelling element too. Like if you
Yes.
collect all that information, that's your story right there.
Yeah.
Cranes
Yeah.
never get taxed.
Yes. It's so true. Like, and
Yeah.
even, yeah, it's like there was a credit union that I'm doing some work with in Nashville, and they're a post office credit union, and they celebrated their 100th anniversary. No one picked that up. No one, like, it's amazing. Like, I was so shocked. Like, I was like, I even told her, I go, you should write a press release. This is like, you you've like some of the stuff that they had that they were showing off at their 100th anniversary. I think that stuff is amazing. That stuff needs to
Yeah.
get, the things they do. I mean, and credit unions would not be taxed if, if more of this stuff was shared and.
Yes. Yes. I mean, they just do it every day, so I think it becomes everyday work. It's not, you
Yes,
know,
yeah.
the life saving, marriage saving, whatever saving,
Yeah.
life changing stuff that they actually it is on the other end. It's not just alone. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Yeah, because
So,
yeah,
sir,
yeah.
oh, go ahead.
Oh no, I was just gonna say, like, one of the things you never see on social media from credit unions is like when someone pays off their home,
Wow.
or you know
Yeah.
what I mean, or pays off their car. Like, these are
Or,
things
yeah.
you should share. Like, those are like life-changing things.
Absolutely. Or you encourage that member to get a gap insurance and then they wreck
Yeah,
their
yeah.
car and it saves
Yeah.
them from financial ruin.
Yeah.
That
Yeah,
kind of stuff.
yeah.
Yeah. It's not just about selling the things. You're not just hawking things. You're trying to protect people. Uh,
Yes, yeah.
so we've talked about a lot of deep stuff today.
Yeah. Yes, yes, very much so.
I'm going to let you have the final word. What would you like to leave our creating executive audience with?
Um, first off, like, I commend all of them working in the field right now. It's a very difficult time for credit unions. But remember, like, the founders of the credit union, a lot of credit unions were started during difficult times as well. And innovation comes out during these difficult times, and just, things changing and ever evolving. So I just commend all of them to keep doing the hard work and, keep the credit unions living on.
Right.
It's so important right now. There's
And
a
share it.
lot relying on, yeah, there's a lot relying on it. So it's
Yeah.
not just, it's employees, it's vendors, it's, all this ecosystem around it.
Mhm.
That's so important. So,
Yes. Absolutely. 100%. Thank you so much. Appreciate your time today, Brett.
yeah, thank you.